I'm Julia, and we are doing an Odyssey check-in with one of my favorite people, Charlie Puth. How are you?
I'm good. Hello.
Hello. Well, really quick, before we dive into the new music, I always want to get your take on new music. How are you feeling about the new Beyonce?
Oh, I actually like I'm an audio nerd and I got really excited when I heard it yesterday with the Korg M1 piano. That's the very dancey piano that you hear in there, like dun 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 dun. It's the same piano used on Madonna's Vogue. Pretty much every like Too Limited, every dance record out of 89 to about 95 was loaded with the Korg M1. And it was really nice hearing a record that came out in 2022 with that really vintage piano on it. So I got really excited about that.
See, I knew this was going to be educational for me.
It's always educational when you're with me.
Yeah. Well, congrats on the success of Light Switch. Hilarious has been on constant rotation in my house. And now you have your next single, Left and Right, and you've got the most incredible feature on it. Tell me about it.
So I have joined forces with a very, very talented vocalist out of the group BTS out of Korea named Jungkook. And I'm just speaking like no one's ever heard of him before. We're BTS.
Heard of them?
Heard of them. And I'm very excited because we definitely have some musical chemistry. We've been performing. We did one performance 4 years ago, and we've always just kind of shouted each other out on social media. And just I appreciate his music, and I think he appreciates mine as well. So the collaboration just felt the most natural. It wasn't like two labels got together and were like, let's put this together. I just wrote him, was like, I have this idea, and I think that you're the only person who could really pull it off. And he sent back a perfect vocal. I love when artists send back perfect vocals.
Yeah, I had that in my notes because I saw you say that on TikTok, and I want to ask like what that means. Does it mean like all in like one take? Like,
well, I texted him after he said that he would do it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank you. I'm so excited to hear your spin on it. And he said, thank you so much for sending it along. I'm paraphrasing. Thanks so much for sending. I'm going to go practice it now. I'm like, oh, wow. He's not just going to go, record it and do a bunch of takes and let somebody else pick the takes. Like he spent a week on it.
I love that.
And then sent it back to me, and it was a miraculously perfect vocal. I was very impressed, and it takes a lot to impress me.
What have you learned about music from K-pop in general? Like, I mean, they are just making so much noise because of how incredible they are. And, for somebody like you, who's such a music nerd, has there been anything you've learned from them?
There's one thing that I've picked up on in particular, and I'm not saying that I'm an avid K-pop listener. I'm just starting to be. And there's a lot of, it's not so much about traditionalized song form, or like the verse has to be here, and now comes the pre-chorus, and here is the chorus. It's sometimes you have two verses, and sometimes you have a double chorus, and sometimes the second verse melody is completely different from the first verse melody. And sometimes the songs are even 7 minutes long because like a group like BTS, they have such a avid fan base that they just want to hear each individual member's personality on the record. And it's just kind of like a reminder. I already knew this, but it's just a reminder that you have to just put your personality into the music rather than just be so neurotic about like, oh, how long is the song? Are people going to want to hear this?
Yeah, that is true. They do a good job of that. So is there going to be a music video along with this?
There is going to be a music video along for this, and we might have filmed it already.
Oh, is there anything you can tell us about it now, or do we just have to wait?
Just wait like a day.
Sure. Yeah. And by the time
but
this interview's out, it'll be here probably.
it'll definitely be out. I'm pretty certain that you can actually just Google it right now and it'll come up. But it's a very different music video from anything that I ever have done. We worked on it with Drew Kirsch, who's done videos for like Taylor Swift and put her in very interesting light. So I was super excited to work with him on this. And there's a lot of these angles, like bird's eye view, zoom ins. Like it reminds me, I was very inspired by the Bop music video by Hanson. Those camera angles, it's a lot of that. And
Okay.
I'm very bad at describing things that aren't music notes.
I understood it from the Bop reference.
Huh? Like when he puts his hand in the water and sees the water drip off his fingers. It's like weird angles like that. And you see Jungkook in a really interesting light as well. He killed it. We were having fun. We were having so much fun.
Did you guys have to shoot it from a distance or were you able to get in the same room?
No, same room.
Oh, that's awesome.
We just happened to be at the same place at the same time. There was we were both standing on this little spinny circle thing you'll see in the video, and it was very hard for us to keep balance because it looks like a big circle, but it was actually tiny. And he and I kept like tripping over each other. And then at one point we were like, let's just lay on each other and do a take where the camera's here and see what that would look like.
That's fun. So the album is done, right? No going back?
Yeah, no going back. The album is done, and I'm always gonna annoy everybody and do a couple things last minute, but it's done.
And it's named Charlie.
Yes.
Why did you decide to just go with that?
Because it was originally going to be called Conversations with Myself, because it's just, if I wrote every song by having a conversation in my own head with myself, or talking to myself, but it felt like too on the nose, like button up tie, like smoking a cigarette next to a piano kind of sounding. So,
what's wrong with that?
No, there's nothing wrong with it. It just didn't feel like the vibe.
Yeah, sure.
And this music is it's just an extension of me, so much of anything I've ever put out before, that it just felt really natural. Just naming it after myself.
I like that. As always, is there anything, or not even is there anything? I know there is. What's the weirdest thing you slid into the production out of anything on the album?
Ooh.
Besides a light switch, because we know that.
Light switch is a pretty weird one. I'm so happy that people are still approaching me on the streets, screaming those lyrics to me. I
asked for it.
I did ask for it. I think I rubbed two pieces of computer paper together to.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a pre-shifted clap against the snare. That means like if the snares, and I did this, that means I placed a little clap before the snare and it goes. It kind of sounds like multiple people are clapping, but it's just me. And then I kind of added some. I can do this right now. It's just like almost like.
Huh.
It adds texture. So instead of it being, I don't know.
That's just some you stuff.
It's just, no one will give a fucking shit except me.
Hey, it'll sound good in the end. That's all that matters. Thanks so much for chatting as always. It's a pleasure. So excited about the new song.
Thank you. It's always so good to see you.
You as well. And I'm excited to hopefully talk to you once again once the album's out.
You will.
And are we going to know when that's coming out soon?
Yes.
Okay. I won't bug you about any more about that. All right. Thanks, Charlie. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Always good to talk to you.